talk. Let's talk for real. Let's talk. Let's talk for real. Let's talk. Let's talk for real. Let's talk. Let's talk for real. Hey everybody. Hey everybody. How are you?
Welcome to Let's Talk for Real.
Welcome to Let's Talk for Real.
Hi Tanya.
Hi Kevin. All right. Welcome to Let's Talk for Real. It's so glad that you guys are joining in with us. We have experienced some technical difficulties for the past 2 live broadcasts.
But that's all right. We still gonna get up here.
Yes,
one
we
way
are
or the other.
here. Yes. So our topic today is releasing our strong man.
Our strong man.
Yes, releasing our strong man. And Betril is gonna start us off, but before she does, I just want to, we always like to try to give you a definition of the topic.
Yes.
So, as I was doing some research for our topic this afternoon, I found that these are the definitions that Webster Dictionary has for strong man. Okay? Strong man is one who leads or controls by force of will and character.
Okay.
Or by military methods. This is another definition of a strong man. Now, this one really tickled me. A politician or leader.
I'm sorry. Y'all don't. Go ahead, Shay. I'm sorry. We're working with 2 phones.
A politician or leader who uses violence or threats. A man who performs in a circus and who is very strong. So Betril has
messed up her phone.
Hey, guess what? You're going to have to now do the broadcast.
That's okay.
It's all good. So here we are.
Yes, it's more than one way to get this thing done.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Who laughing at us?
It happens. But guess what? It's okay because we love you guys. We're human, right? We are human. All right. So Betril was sharing with me some things that she noticed as she was taking her son to camp. So Trill, I'm going to let you talk about that.
The reason why the releasing the strong man really dropped in my spirit, I was taking my son to summer camp, and it's like a little after 7, early in the morning, and I see these 3 young ladies out, early in the morning, and you could tell that they were on some type of drugs or on something was going on with them, and they were basically out walking the street 7-something in the morning.
Wow.
And my first thought was, what is going on with you that got you up this early in the morning out here walking these streets trying to get something to take care of an addiction? They weren't out there waiting to put their kids on the school bus. They weren't out there waiting for the bus to go to work. They weren't out there, being productive. Well, maybe in their mindset they were being productive. But my thought was, what has got a hold on them that got them out so early in the morning walking these streets? And they were out there. One young lady had on a pair of little pajama shorts and a little t-shirt, and the other one, she had on some little sweats and they still had their makeup on, because it don't matter how far out we get out here in these streets. We as women gonna make sure that we still in our mindset gonna still think we're cute. Yeah. And so I was like, my heart went out to them because they were so engrossed in trying to get out here and walk the streets that one girl almost got hit by a car because she was so focused on trying to flag this car down. I don't know if it was a regular customer or who he was, but my mindset was, what has got you out here that you're risking getting hit by a car to flag somebody down to take care of an addiction? And what dropped in my spirit was strong man.
Wow.
And so I was talking to Shay about it, and I said, Shay, we all got different strong men that we're fighting and wrestling against, and that's the thing that is controlling us, and that's the thing that got us so far out here that we'll act outside of our character. We'll do stuff that we don't normally do because now we're bound down to a strong man, and that strong man has got us so locked up and bound in a situation that we really don't know what we're doing, let alone who we are anymore. So that's why we want to talk about releasing the strong man, because it also ties in what we've been talking about in the last couple of weeks about the soul ties and how about being a priority versus being an option. So all of those things tie into that strong man.
Yeah. So the one thing that I want to talk about in addition to everything that Trill just said was the scripture 2 Corinthians 10:4 says, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God with the pulling down of strongholds." And so when I think of a strong man, I know when Trill and I started talking about it, immediately I said the strong man is a spirit. It's not the individual.
Right.
It's not us. It's that spirit that's in operation in us that causes the strongholds to grip us, to keep us in captivity, to keep us in prison. And it's not just so much that it was these women walking down the street, whether they were prostituting, whether they were battling an addiction, and apparently they probably was doing both. But that might be their strong man.
Right.
That's not my strong man. But that doesn't mean that I don't have one.
Right.
And so I think for me, when we think about strong mans, I remember back in the day, my drug of choice was cocaine. That was my drug of choice. People were smoking marijuana. I wanted to snort cocaine. And I can tell you, and we'll get into this later on in the broadcast, when you're talking about being released, how do you get released from it?
Right.
I'm going to let Trill break that down, how we get released from it. But for a long time, that was my strong man. And of course, we know that is a spirit. And I can tell you, there were days that I thought I had been released from the strong man. But I'll never forget one day I was walking outside and the rain was coming down. I mean, it was pouring buckets. And in the midst of me smelling the rain,
yes,
I smelled the cocaine that I used to snort up my nose. And had not that spirit been swept from me, if I had not been delivered from that spirit, I promise you, when I was smelling the rain and smelled the cocaine, I would have went and got me some cocaine.
Oh yeah,
because I could have, and because I know where to go get it. But yeah, so when you talk about strong man, sis, let's talk about what you feel like your strong man what your strong man was, and what potentially it could be now.
For me, I thank God mine didn't consist of an addiction, but we all have different things that we are addicted to. It don't always have to be a substance abuse or alcohol or drugs or whatever. Mine was the opinions of people.
Yeah.
And when you allow the opinions of people to influence really who you are and what you're really wrestling with, then you find yourself really chasing after validation, or you're out there chasing for somebody to tell you who you are and what you're worth. And I didn't realize that, even that is an addiction.
Yeah.
That you're worrying about, like I said before, that me being me was just not enough. And because it wasn't enough, then I was allowing myself to get in bad relationships and connect myself with people who didn't have my best interest at heart, because I was so wanting somebody to tell me you were good enough.
Lord, help me over here in this chair.
So when you're dealing with that type of strong man, you're talking about a person's opinion, not a relationship, but just a person's opinion.
Jesus,
and because you're dealing with a person's opinion, then it's gonna make you compromise your integrity. It'll make you compromise your identity. It'll make you compromise your self-worth, your self-esteem. All of those things came into play with me, because I'm sitting up here trying to measure myself on a statement that was said to me when I was 7. And I talked about that more than once because that is my stronghold. Because I realize now that that was the root of what really triggered a lot of stuff for me not thinking that I was pretty enough, or I was, that person that somebody would pick, that I would be somebody's choice.
My God.
That I would be somebody's priority. So yeah, that's just as bad, because when you're talking about a person that's running after an addiction, they're running after that chase that's going to numb them from the thing that they're trying to escape. So because they're trying to escape the child abuse, or the molestation, or the domestic abuse, or whatever it is that they're trying to bury down, that's what they're running after. They're running after that thing that's going to make them numb.
Yeah.
So, for me, I realized it was people. I had to get delivered from people. So,
well, let me tell you, this is Let's Talk for Real.
Yes.
Right? So, my strong man for a long time was sex. And let me tell you something about sex. It's just like the women that you saw that morning. Baby. Let me tell you something. Can we talk about sex?
Hey.
This is Let's Talk for Real.
Let's talk for real.
Sex, the spirit of sex, will have you in the middle of the day with a flashlight.
What?
Searching for who you trying to search for. Y'all not gonna talk to me right there. Y'all not gonna say nothing to me right there. Let me tell you something. The same way she like to got hit by a car. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. The same way she like to got hit by a car.
Yeah, remember we talked about the 12 to 6. You know how we talked about this one time before, being that woman of 12 to 6, where that man had done everything he wanted to do throughout the day, but then he's calling you after the midnight hours. And when the old people say it ain't so much you can be doing out there after 11 o'clock. Side spreading your legs. So we're out there with the 12 to 6 situation where we'll to make you compromise yourself.
Listen, Stephanie said, well, at high noon. Yes,
high noon.
A flashlight at high noon. Absolutely. And I'm telling you, that spirit of sex had me like I was addicted to it almost, because it was a spirit.
Yes.
And I liked the way it made me feel, even though, they say what feel good to you is not necessarily good for you, not always good for you. Well, I can tell you right now, when you're dealing with a spirit, it's all about gratifying your flesh. And Lord help me today. I'm telling you, that 12 to 6, I was a 12 to 6 chick. I could have been a 6 to 12 chick.
Well,
now we're talking, but this is Let's Talk for Real. And we're talking about how you buying that strong man. And so some of you that are looking at this live broadcast today, you know that we're telling the truth, because you might be that individual that's allowing that spirit of sex to control you. Handcuffs.
Yes.
Here go the handcuffs. We got the handcuffs on today.
So when we was talking about the strong man, I thought about the parable that Jesus gave, and I'm going to use Luke chapter 11 verses 21 through 22, and he was talking about when a strong man, when he's fully armed, he guards his own palace. His goods are in peace. But when a stronger man than him, kind of paraphrasing, comes upon him, he takes from him all his armor, that which he trusts, and divides his spoil. So he's saying that that strong man, first of all, if you're fully armed and you're guarding your house, because we're on the parable, we know we may be looking at the physical house, but we're talking about our temple, our house. When you got on your full armor of God, when you are guarded about the things that the enemy is out here doing, then it's impossible for the strong man to come in. The strong man, like he said in the scripture, said in order for him to bind break into the strong man's house, he first got to bind you up first.
That's it.
And so that's what the enemy is out here doing. He's binding us up with things of the flesh.
Yes.
In order for him to come in and then conquer and pillar and plunge through everything that we own and everything that's attached to us.
Right.
Because he don't come at you with stuff that you don't like.
Come on.
He don't come at you with stuff that you don't like. He know exactly what type you like. He know how the man got to be built, how the woman got to be built, how they smell, how they look. He know what you're attracted to. So because he understands what you're attracted to, then he's doing is penetrating your armor.
Come on now.
By getting into your eyesight, getting into your ear gate, getting into your thought process. And then once he gets in here, it gets in your heart. And now you just looking at somebody all innocent. Now you're looking at them and thinking about ways and how you can do stuff with them.
Yes.
So now he has penetrated your armor, and because he's penetrated your armor, now he's gonna come through there and he's gonna plunge through everything that's connected to you.
Because you've opened yourself up now. And that's one thing that now that I look back on,
Yes.
I truly opened myself up to a lot of stuff. And because I could not really see, because that spirit had overwhelmed me and overtaken me. I was overtaken
he had
by
disarmed
that.
you.
Yes,
at that point.
And this is the thing, baby, I was willing.
Yes.
I was willing to be the prisoner for so long. See, y'all not going to talk to us for real today. Some of you might not agree with me, but doggone it, I'm going to tell you now, I was willing.
Yeah, because that's what he said in the parable. He said the only way that strong man will be overtaken if someone comes along that's stronger. So that means if you're in a situation where you're dealing with the things of your flesh, and you're supposed to be connected to God and a child of God, and now you have let your defenses down because now you're feeding your flesh more than you feed your spirit. So now what has happened is that you have become weaker and he has become stronger, because like I said before, the thing that you feed the most is the thing that's going to grow the most. And the thing that grows the most is the thing that's going to be in control. So if you're out of control in the things of your flesh, and now you're trying to fight a spiritual warfare,
right,
you're going to be in some trouble.
Absolutely. And then he talks about, even when you're talking about marriages, you said when we were talking earlier how Jesus talked about the division.
Yes.
And a house divided against itself will not stand. Will you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, we was talking about how, just to give a backdrop on that whole parable, we know that at that time, the Pharisees and all of them were criticizing Jesus about him going out here and casting demons out. So they were saying that, because he is the prince, they assumed that the only way that he was able to do that, it was because he was the prince of the demons. And because he was the prince of the demons, they recognized his position, and because they recognized his position, they did what he told them to do. So his first response was, how can Satan come out and cast out Satan? So the first thing that Jesus wanted to establish was that he talked about how is a house divided. He looked at the whole connection of, how am I going to come in here and tear up my own house?
Right.
That don't make any sense.
Why would I even tear up my own house?
Why would I tear up my own house? So a house divided is not going to stand. So when we get into, like she was saying about the husband and wives, and when you're on two different playing fields and you're playing for two different teams, then you can't expect to be on one accord when it comes to fighting this enemy that want to come in here and tear up your house. So that right there has already caused the core to be divided. So now you're fighting two different battles. One is fighting to try to keep the enemy out, and one is fighting to bring the enemy in. So now you're sitting up here, you're dealing with unnatural warfare already, because your kingdom is already not set up in the right statue.
That's right. And then he tells us too that we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So he's letting us know that it's not you that I'm wrestling against. He begins to tell us what we are wrestling against. And it's those spirits, because it's spiritual wickedness. It's the rulers of darkness. Y'all know the scripture. I know y'all are Bible scholars. But it's those spirits that we are wrestling against. And you can't beat a spirit with natural weapons. You have to be a spirit in the spirit. Come on, let me say that again. You cannot fight a spirit and overtake a spirit with natural weapons, carnals. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. Come on, y'all. And so that's why we have so much division amongst ourselves as a people.
Yes.
That's why we have so much division against us as women, because we're trying to fight against this right here, this thing called flesh.
Yes. We want to fight against the Shays and the Teresas and the Michaels, and we want to give it names, but we're fighting against a physical being that we got to understand that just like, in order for God don't really need us.
Right.
He really don't.
Right.
But because he know that he's dealing with us in a earthly realm, that his son has to come in and reside on the inside of us for us to have any type of power. Same thing with Satan, because he ain't nothing but a carbon copy of what God does. He duplicates. So he's able to go through and do the things that he do through people. Just like God is able to do what he does through people.
Right.
And so we got to understand, we got to stop fighting each other and start fighting. My dad used to say it all the time. He said, don't fight the man, fight the spirit.
That's it.
And when you start fighting the spirit, then the man will be dealt with.
Right.
So that goes back to what he said. But in order for a strong man to be taken over, he first got to be bound.
That's it.
In order for you look at all the movies and the stuff that comes out when people break in houses. What's the first thing they do?
They
tie people up.
Yeah.
They tie you up because now they want to take away you being a threat.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what happens. That's what that spirit comes, that strong man comes to do, is to bind you up, because you are a threat.
Yes.
To his kingdom. You are a threat, because we understand that life and death is in the power of the tongue. So the moment you come to yourself and you begin to speak life over death, then that changes the whole dynamic of the game. But as long as you are in a state of denial, as long as you're in a state of jealousy, as long as you're in a state of envy, as long as you're in a state of bitterness, come on, I'm gonna come down the street, as long as you're in the state of abandonment, as long as you're in the state of low self-esteem, as long as you're in the state of betrayal, whatever that spirit is, until you release it, until you deal with the spirit, you're going to continue to stay in that same state mentally, because you're trying to fight it with natural weapons. And it ain't going to never work. It's going to wear you. That's why people be so exhausted trying to fight somebody in their own might. You can't fight a demon in your own might. The Bible says that some things, these things like this, we overcome them. It says, we overcome them by fasting and praying. Some things like this, we can overcome them by fasting and praying. Well, when you are fasting and praying, is that spiritual or is that natural? That's something that you're doing in the spirit. So we have to make sure that when I'm looking at you and I get that green-eyed monster in my eye, that green-eyed monster is called jealousy, by the way. When I get that green-eyed monster in my eye, then that's something on the inside of me. I got to deal with the strong man in me, because why am I looking at you coveting something you got? When I know that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, in the same way that he gave it to you, he'll give it to me, because he's not a respecter person. So why am I fighting for things?
And one thing another mistake that we make is, the Bible always tells us that the battle is not ours.
It's the Lord's.
It's the Lord's.
Yes.
But what we do, we take on the battle on ourselves. And because we're taking on the battle in our flesh, and like she says, we're looking at each other in this flesh and blood state, and we're trying to win a spiritual battle with natural weaponry. And it's not going to work. When you look at naturally with the military, they prepare their soldiers. They got to go through basic training. And they got to, after they go through basic training, they got to go through another level of training. So they don't just sign up with Uncle Sam and go out there and start fighting.
Right.
But what we do, we'll sign up with God, and then we'll go out here and start fighting, but we ain't been trained. And then you wonder why you got a black eye, why your lips swole, why you're sitting up there and everything being tore up, because now you sitting up there trying to fight the strong man and you still bound bound by the strong man, and
Yes.
now it's like, how can you fight against what you already done gave yourself over to?
Exactly.
So you got to understand that you got to first embrace who God is in your life, and you got to let God come in, and you got to, like she said, you got to use your spiritual warfare, weapons of warfare, because you're sitting up here trying to fight him fist to cup. That's not gonna work.
It's not gonna work. Tanya say, what?
We get in our own way by trying to do God's job. Girl, you can say that all day long.
That's a song.
We get in, yes, we do.
It's a song, because we do. You know why? Because we think God need our help.
No.
And we think we are God.
Yes.
So we think we're the problem solver. You know, we don't give our problems to him because we feel like we can solve the problem. And that's why we be tore up from the floor up. There's a wreck from the neck up. We be just wrecked from the neck up. Our mind is messed up. And until
we're tired, we're wore out, we're crying all the time. We're sitting there, why God let this happen to me? No, God ain't let that happen to you. You got in God's way. And then he's like, okay, let me see how that's going to work out for you. And then you come back crying again. Okay, Lord, I'm going to give it to you. And then you take it back. God is not going to sit there and play tug of war with you.
Exactly. And so many of us want God to play tug of war. And then a lot of times we want other people who are placed in our lives to help us to pacify our demons.
Ooh.
I'm not helping you if I pacify your demon. You're not helping me if you pacify my demon. That demon is those spirits that are in full operation, that's keeping me in captivity, that's keeping me in prison, that's keeping me from fulfilling my purpose, that's keeping me from walking in integrity, that spirit that causes me to act outside of my character. So when you talk about the strong man, this is one of the things that one of the commentators said. He said the strong man is Satan who possesses or works in human beings by means of his wicked spirits. Listen to this. We must clearly distinguish between Satan as the spirit that now worketh in the sons of what?
Disobedience.
Say it again.
The sons of disobedience. And when you're dealing with allowing God to come into your life, accepting his son as your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, it's through him that we become children of God. But when you allow Satan to come in and you are dealing with him through his spirits of wickedness, you become the sons of disobedience. Sons and daughters of disobedience.
And disobedience pretty much is rebellion, because you're rebellion against what God has commanded or commissioned us to do, and how he is the clarion call upon our life, the things that have been preordained for us to walk in, the things that have been predestined for us to walk in and walk out. We are rebellious against that. And what does the Bible say about rebellion? Rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. So then you wondering why all of the various things are happening to you. It is because you've opened yourself up to walk in rebellion. And so now that is as the spirit of witchcraft. What is witchcraft? Evilness. Let's talk for real today.
Yeah.
Y'all got quiet right there. I don't hear nobody saying nothing. Hearts.
Again, when we go back to that passage, it was talking about when a strong man is fully armed, he guards his own house. So we was talking about, me and her was talking about earlier when we were talking about that Satan, basically the earthly realm is his house. And so in order for his house to be taken over, then Jesus had to come in the form of man in flesh in order for him to bind that strong man.
Come on,
because he said unless someone stronger comes in, then that strong man is going to be able to do whatever he wants to do. So he had to come in, and in order for us to get our house back, not just physically and spiritually, in order for us to get our house back, we're going to have to allow ourselves to sit down and let somebody come, let the Lord come in that's stronger than us. Because what we're doing, a lot of us are out here flying with capes with holes in it. And we think we Superman and Superwoman, and we out here trying to save the world, and we ain't got no power, and we ain't got no wind behind our cape. And we sitting up here wondering why we getting our tail whooped.
Listen, if the stronger man, the spirit of God, had not come into my heart,
Yes.
I'm telling you right now, my entire body would stay laid on the altar. Just telling
Yes.
you, girl, I would have to put all my body parts on the altar. Do you hear me? Because I was truly a prisoner of that spirit called sex. See, y'all don't want to talk about that. And I ain't talking about just being in prison with that spirit called sex outside the church. I'm talking about inside the church.
Yeah, and we all got a strong man that we wrestling with. You know, some of us, we don't think it's a strong man because it's not as big as somebody else's or as obvious as somebody else's, but we all got something that we're fighting and we're battling against, that we have allowed to really come in and take over who we supposed to be. And then we're wondering why we're not effective as believers out here giving our testimony and letting people know that you can walk upright and you can live this life with God without, now people look at the church and they look at the church in a way that's, it's like,
it's irrelevant.
Yeah, it's
a lot of people see the church as irrelevant
because we're not doing our job. We're not doing what we're supposed to do, and we're allowing the strong man now to come into the house of God, and now he's just wreaking havoc, and that we just letting any and everything go. Now we don't call sin no more. We call sin issues. You got issues in your tissue. No, sin is still sin.
Right.
The word ain't changed, but what we do, we'll put the word where it makes people comfortable. We don't talk about conviction anymore. We don't talk about being sanctified no more. We don't talk about being holy no more. We just let any and everything go. That yes, God is a forgiving God, but God is also a double-edged sword where he got wrath on one side too. So we got to stop making each other comfortable and be accountable for one another, and call your sister to the carpet, call your brother to the carpet. Why are you gonna let them go out here and you see him bound? You see the strong man breaking in his house. You see the strong man wreaking havoc on his children or going in and doing what they doing, and we gonna sit back and just be like, okay,
like this, twirling our thumbs.
Okay.
Like, I'm not.
No, I'm gonna be like WWF, honey. I'm gonna tag in. I'm gonna get in illegally. That they gotta push my hind part out.
Yes.
That I'm gonna sit up there too. Back in the day when you used to look at wrestling and the other one would get in just long enough to throw the other one off them. We gotta start doing that. We gotta start tag teaming. We gotta start getting in illegally if we have to. Now you ain't throwing in no towel. Not on my watch. We don't get to do surrender. If you need some water, tag. Go get you some water. Get yourself back together. Well, what you're not gonna do is keep leaving me out here to get my head tagged, and you sitting over there on the side of
my head down to the white meat.
Yeah, you sitting over there telling me, can I get another juice box? No, you ain't getting no juice box. Get your hind part back in here. Get yourself together.
With me.
Yes.
Absolutely. And that's a lot of times, that's what happens when we see brothers and sisters that are going through the fight. We'll sit back and we'll talk about them, but we're not trying to help them solve the problem or get to the root of the issue. Because I know for me, when we talk about the spirit of sex, it wasn't that the sex was so good. It was more of the root cause of why I was looking to sex to fulfill the thing that I was not dealing with. And that thing that I was not dealing with was a spirit of abandonment. And so because I was dealing with that spirit of abandonment, it caused me to look for love in all the wrong places, wanting to be accepted, and so I got entangled with that spirit called sex.
Yes. And I'm telling you, because that's what happened. Like you said, when something comes in stronger than what you already are connected to, then it's gonna be easy for the strong man to bind you up. Right. It's gonna be easy for him to get in your thought process and your eye gate and your ear gate, because at the end of the day, he already did his homework.
Yeah.
He's done his research. Yes. He knows exactly what it's gonna take to get you. It reminds me about with Job and how the enemy came and asked for, how he was looking for ways that he can get Job. He was getting through. He wanted to get through Job with what he thought would be affected, which was things of his flesh.
Right.
But he didn't understand that the connection that Job had and the relationship he had with God, his spiritual walk was stronger. So it didn't matter if he came in and took his possessions and took his family and took all that, even to the point that he got close to the heart and used his wife, and the wife was like, why don't you just curse God and die?
Right.
You know, who's going to keep letting all this stuff happen? And we got to be careful about who we letting our ear gate to tell us to curse God and die. You know, those voices that we're connected with. So I'm thinking about that with us, because, you know, even then, Satan still has to get permission about how far he can go as far as him being the strong man, because he really ain't that strong.
Right.
He got to get permission. God gives him permission with provisions, because God understands that, okay, you can do A, B, C, and D, but you can't do this.
That's it.
Because he know the thing that's going to kill us. He know the thing that's going to get us to the point where we're not going to recover and we're not going to come back from this thing. But we got to look at this thing as this training ground for us. Mm-hmm. It really is. And I said, you know, like you said, all things work together for our good.
It does. It does.
It's going to work together for your good. You might not feel like it or understand it at the time that you wrestling and fighting with that strong man, but you got to get in there and fight for your life, because this is about your soul.
Exactly.
So I'm like, if you're going to give it to the enemy, at least let them fight for it.
Right. Just don't give it up easy like that.
No,
just don't lay down.
Yeah, because you're not going to really let a physical being come break into your house, tie you up, and do what they want to do to you and your family. You're not going to do that. I know I'm not.
You're going to be trying to figure out a way to maneuver. First of all, how you going to get out of these binds, this tie that you got me bound with? How am I going to get out of it? But a lot of times we have the wrong people, those voices.
Yes, the wrong voices in our head. And one thing about it, if you're fighting for your life physically in a natural state, you're going to do everything that you can to live. You're going to do everything you can to breathe. And the same thing spiritually. You got to do everything that you can to live. And you can't let the enemy just come in there and think he's going to just come and do any and everything that he want to do.
Right. Exactly. And then that goes back to, what are you feeding your spirit? What are you feeding yourself? Because if everything that you're doing is about your flesh, guess what? Your flesh is going to wreak havoc. Your flesh is going to have its way. Your flesh is going to cause you to want to gratify it every single time. Whatever that strong man is, whether it's masturbation, whether it's porn, whether it's food, whether it's shopping, whether it's just gambling, whatever, drinking, getting high, whatever, sex, whatever it is.
That flesh gonna make you tap out every time.
Can you say tap out?
It's gonna make you tap out every time. It's gonna be on the
mat.
mat.
Ring the bell.
Yes.
Ding, 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 ding.
But thank God that he will put your foot on the rope, honey, or he will give you corner men.
Yes.
Men that will come in and say, she ain't going out. You ain't gonna get the 10 on this one.
Right.
No, you ain't gonna be able to do that. That we'll throw the towel in long enough for you to catch your breath. I give you oxygen if you need it.
Right.
But no, we're not going to sit up here and lose this one.
Exactly.
Because he is the heavyweight champion of the world.
Say
God
that.
has an undefeated record.
That's
and he's
right.
not going to allow the enemy to come in and start defeating us now.
That's
so
right.
you got to know who coaching you. You got to know who you listening to. You got to know who feeding you, who training you.
Absolutely.
So you're going to fight based on who training you.
There it is. There it is. So I know we passed our broadcast time. I know Trill will be saying that just as soon as she get wound up, she'll be saying it's time to go. It's time to go. But we know that you guys are just getting off work. We want to be respected. We want to make sure that you spend the time with your families. But I do want to give a couple of shout outs to a few people. Some of you have really been sharing our videos.
Yes.
And Lord knows we really do appreciate it. Stephanie Shelley, we know that you just shared our video. We appreciate it. Daisy Sutton, you have shared our videos. Jerome Powell, Robert Bennett, you have really been diligent about sharing our videos. I think Clara Davis shared our video before, so we really do appreciate you guys sharing our videos. We appreciate you every week tuning in.
Shout out to my sister
to Let's
Selena.
Talk For Real. Yes,
yes,
we sure do love all of you, and we appreciate you tuning in. We have now figured out how to get guests in on the show without them being physically here. So we're going to definitely do that. And we're going to be calling on some of you to be our guests. And we hope that you will oblige us and answer the call. So we love you. This is Let's Talk for Real. Until next week, next time, same station. Let's talk. Let's talk for real. 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 Have a great weekend.
Love you guys.
Love you guys. Bye-bye.